challenger.
He kept saying to me, come on, let's see you work. I knew he was trying to wear me out quicker.
He said there wasn't nobody around to beat him. There's another 3 men around, Norton, Foreman, and Frazier, that they still think might win.
Well, no, I didn't underestimate anything. I knew that Muhammad was very strong and fit, because a man that spars 15 rounds.
The lights inside the Las Vegas Convention Center arena burned hot on February 14, 1973, and for Muhammad Ali, this night was supposed to be simple. This was meant to be a statement, a performance, another chapter in the long, poetic argument he had been making to the world since returning from exile, that he was still the greatest heavyweight alive. The audience came expecting speed, swagger, and inevitability.
Because he predicted he's going to knock me out in 10. But what I wanted to do mainly was to try and wear him down. And I think he...
Bugner comes in menacingly and scores well.
As soon as I retire, I know he can do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't hurt him. I only hit him during the last of the round when I got a...
They came to watch Ali dance, talk, and dismantle another challenger with surgical brilliance. What they did not expect was that standing across from him would be a man who refused to be impressed.
So I'm not going to be considered yellow. I'll hang around. Joe Bugner will be the next champ.
He slipped on quite soon, and he played around. He just unfortunately had the experience on me and the edge. But he won't have it the next.
A towering figure of muscle and silence who did not laugh at the jokes or blink at the threats. Joe Bugner did not come to dance with Ali. He came to break him. Long before cinema gave audiences Ivan Drago, boxing already had its own version of the cold, immovable giant from Eastern Europe. Joe Bugner was not a character written for drama. He was real, and that reality made him far more unsettling. Born in communist Hungary and later raised in England, Bugner carried himself with a rigid calm that made promoters uneasy and opponents uncomfortable. He was nearly 6'5", weighed close to 220 pounds, and looked less like a prize fighter than a sculpture carved from stone. There was no trash talk, no theatrical rage, no wasted motion. Just a blank stare and the quiet confidence of a man who believed he could walk through fire if necessary. By the time he was only 22 years old, Bugner had already shaken British boxing to its core. He had beaten Henry Cooper, a national hero, and claimed multiple titles almost immediately after his 21st birthday. His victories were not flashy, but they were convincing. He knocked men down early, overwhelmed them physically, and kept coming even when hit cleanly. The public did not yet know what to make of him. Some saw him as slow and stiff, a big target waiting to be picked apart by a master like Ali. Others sensed something more dangerous, a kind of relentless durability that could turn a showcase into a war. Ali, as always, controlled the narrative before the first punch was thrown. He joked, predicted, taunted, and performed for the cameras. He told reporters he would knock Bugner out in the 7th round, speaking with the same certainty he had used before so many victories. He reminded everyone that he had predicted exact rounds in previous fights and delivered on them. To Ali, this was psychological warfare, an art form he had perfected. But Bugner did not play along. He did not smile or respond. He did not rise to the bait. He simply stared back, unmovable, as if Ali's words were bouncing off a wall. That silence was telling. Bugner believed that Ali's mythology was fragile, that the legend depended on people believing in it. In his mind, it was his job to shatter that belief. He watched Ali talk and pose and felt no intimidation, only opportunity. He believed that beneath the poetry and bravado was a man who had been away from the ring too long, a man whose legs were not quite as young as they used to be. If Ali wanted to break him, Bugner knew it would have to happen inside the ropes, with fists, not words. When the bell rang, Ali moved the way only Ali could. Light on his feet, hands low, eyes sharp, he circled the larger man and snapped quick jabs into Bugner's face. Early on, it looked exactly as the crowd expected. Ali cut Bugner above the eye in the 1st round, a clean reminder of his precision. The audience roared with every combination, sensing that the prophecy of a 7th round finish might come true. Ali was in control, dictating pace and distance, painting angles in the air while Bugner lumbered forward. But something unusual began to happen as the rounds passed. Bugner did not crumble. He absorbed shots that would have broken other heavyweights and kept moving forward. He was slower, yes, but he was deliberate. He targeted Ali's body, placing heavy punches to the ribs and midsection, investing in damage that would pay off later. The crowd began to notice. Cheers for Ali were joined by murmurs of respect for the challenger who refused to go away. By the 7th round, the moment Ali had promised would be the end. Joe Bugner was still standing. Not only that, he was answering back. He was tired, marked, and cut, but he was unbroken. Ali won the exchanges, but he could not produce the finish he had predicted. As the fight entered its final rounds, it became clear that this was no longer a spectacle. It was a test. When the 12th and final round arrived, Ali understood what was required. He closed strong, throwing fast combinations, making sure the judges and the crowd saw his dominance. There was no knockdown, no dramatic ending, only the steady accumulation of points and the confirmation of a decision victory. Ali's hand was raised, and officially, nothing had gone wrong. Yet the message beneath the surface was impossible to ignore. The knockout had not come. The speed and snap were still there, but not in endless supply. Joe Bugner had pushed Muhammad Ali harder than many expected. That night was a warning disguised as a win. Ali felt it. He knew that the division was filled with men who hit harder and younger than Bugner. The truth arrived quickly. Less than 2 months later, Ali stepped into the ring with Ken Norton and suffered a shocking defeat. His jaw broken by Norton's relentless pressure. For the first time, the invincibility cracked in a way that could not be laughed off. Yet Ali was never defined by a single night. He adapted, endured, and returned stronger in spirit, if not always in body. 6 months later, he avenged the loss to Norton. He beat Joe Frazier again in one of the most punishing rivalries the sport has ever seen. Then, in 1974, he faced the most terrifying force of the era, George Foreman, in Zaire. Against all logic, Ali outsmarted and outlasted the younger champion, reclaiming the heavyweight crown in the Rumble in the Jungle and reminding the world that greatness was not measured only in power, but in intelligence, resilience, and timing. Joe Bugner's story did not fade into obscurity either. The respect he earned against Ali became fuel. He went on to face Joe Frazier himself, surviving 12 brutal rounds in London. He lost on points, but he left the ring with admiration intact. Frazier, one of the hardest punchers in history, could not stop him. Over the next 2 years, Bugner won 8 consecutive fights, reclaimed the European title, and climbed to 5th in the world rankings. The dream remained alive. He wanted another shot at Ali, not for fame, but for validation. That chance came in July 1975, under conditions that tested the limits of human endurance. Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, welcomed the fighters with oppressive heat and thick humidity that turned the air into something almost solid. This time, the stakes were even higher. Ali was the world champion again. Bugner was no longer a curiosity. He was a proven contender. From the opening seconds, Ali set a furious pace, rushing forward as if daring the heat to stop him. He danced, jabbed, and controlled the ring with authority. Early rounds belonged clearly to the champion. His punches snapped Bugner's head back, his footwork kept him just out of danger, and his confidence filled the stadium. But the environment took its toll. Sweat poured, lungs burned, and every movement demanded payment. Bugner, true to form, refused to panic. Even while eating combinations, he stayed upright, leaning back, absorbing, waiting. As the fight moved into the later rounds, he began to answer more consistently. He landed jabs, forced exchanges, and tested Ali's stamina. The champion responded with experience. He slipped punches by inches, countered immediately, and talked constantly, trying to pull Bugner into mistakes. In the championship rounds, Ali summoned whatever energy he had left. He pressed the action, unloading flurries, chasing the knockout that had eluded him years earlier. The crowd roared as the two giants traded under the Malaysian heat, neither willing to surrender. When the final bell rang, Both men were exhausted, but still standing. The judges awarded Ali a unanimous decision. He had defended his title, and once again, Joe Bugner had proven impossible to break. That night became more than a title defense. It was a study in willpower. Bugner's stubborn toughness forced Ali to dig deep, and Ali's genius turned resistance into victory. In defeat, Bugner earned something rare in boxing: genuine respect. He had shared the ring with the greatest heavyweight of his era twice and never been stopped. Ali would later admit how difficult it was to hurt him, how strong and young he felt, how carefully he had to manage his energy. Bugner, for his part, acknowledged Ali's preparation and intelligence. He knew he had faced a master, but he also believed that his own time could still come. The division was crowded with monsters, but Bugner had proven he belonged among them. In the end, when Muhammad Ali faced the real Ivan Drago, the story was not about destruction. It was about endurance, evolution, and the moment when legend meets resistance and survives. Ali did not break Bugner, but Bugner helped reveal the deeper truth of Ali's greatness. Not that he was untouchable, but that even when pushed to his limits, he found a way to win. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of boxing's most underrated rivalries, let me know what you think. Do you believe Joe Bugner deserves more recognition in heavyweight history? And which Ali performance do you think best defines his greatness? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more dramatic, story-driven boxing documentaries like this one, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story.